Today I'm speaking with Katie Motta. She is the CEO of Jade Stone Branding. Katie, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for having me.
Absolutely. So I'd love to just start and ask about how cannabis or even CBD has impacted your life. Do you remember the first time you consumed it or you used it? What was that experience like?
I've always had, growing up, I've struggled a lot with anxiety. I still have that issue today. Unfortunately for me, when I first tried THC, that kind of exacerbated the anxiety a little bit for me. So it wasn't a great experience. And it did cause me to kind of stray away from it for quite a while, where I was like, I don't know if there's another way to do this. But CBD, when I discovered that, has been absolutely influential in my life. It's been incredible. So, taking a great tincture or a gummy, before bed or just to relax, before something that might give me some anxiety or something that I can plan for has been incredible. And then I've also kind of in a little bit more of an unconventional way, I guess, I've started to use kind of hemp and CBD skincare as well, which has been subtle for me, but like it's just been an incredible experience to have my skin and just like make me feel better. So it's been great.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Some of the benefits of cannabis is not only just what we ingest, but also what we put on our bodies as well.
Definitely. Yeah. I mean, there are so many different benefits. And that's what I was really excited when I started to actually learn about cannabis and just how many different facets obviously it has and how many different ways you can get a benefit from it. If you don't necessarily enjoy being high, that's not the only way that you can like get the benefits out of the plant, obviously, as we know. So like I just mentioned, like for my skincare, that's been incredible. It's reduced inflammation and just like, made my skin tighter and just softer. And so that's been incredible. And then with CBD, I've been taking, gummies after working out or tinctures after I'm working out, or, I'll rub a salve on some like sore muscles after I exercise. And I found that it's allowed me to work out longer and then more effectively the next day also. So there's definitely a ton of different benefits, which is great.
So, were those benefits that you received from cannabis and CBD, did that kind of motivate you to start Jade Stone Branding? How did that come into creation?
Yeah, so that was kind of before, like Jade Stone came a little bit before I started to explore, and it was kind of the catalyst actually for why I started to get more into it. So in 2020, I started a business called Alluring Media Co. It's a design and branding agency, not in any specific niche. So we worked on brands and businesses all over the place. But then in the summer of 2021, I met Andrew Nunes of CB Disco. Shout out to CB Disco if nobody knows them. When we were both accepted into a year-long entrepreneurship accelerator program called E for All. So after he got to know me and my business a little bit more, and we became closer, he reached out to me for some design help for a female-focused, high-end, private label kind of like rolling paper company that he was creating. And I was very straightforward with him at the time. I said, I had a bad experience with cannabis years ago, haven't really kind of gotten back into it since then, and don't have too much personal experience with it. But he really just assured me that my work style, my design style was super important to him, and it really didn't make a difference whether or not I smoked personally. So once I started to do that project, I obviously dove really deep into the research for the project. So obviously design wise, the branding and the design within the cannabis space. But of course, that opens up all these other doors to what cannabis actually does, how it works, what are these different components of cannabis. And I just fell completely in love with the complexity of everything in terms of the design and just the plant itself. So I also, as I was doing all of this research, realized that there's a pretty major area that's overlooked within the industry. So for this particular project, he wanted something feminine focused, really high end, really luxe. And there were only, as I was looking through, only a few kind of select hand, just a couple brands that were doing that kind of work. So I realized that, especially in Massachusetts, they were very few and far between. So most of what I was seeing was super stereotypical slime drips, neon colors, and just design that wasn't necessarily speaking well to either a canna curious, someone like me who needs something more approachable, or a feminine audience. And that's when I realized that there was a real niche here. So shortly after taking on that project, we finished that up. I obviously biasedly love how it turned out. And then I decided to open Jade Stone to serve that high-end luxury female focused audience. And that's how we got started in cannabis and CBD.
And so tell us a little bit about your process with working with companies. What can they expect when they, they're coming to you with their baby, basically?
Yeah, absolutely. So each of our processes kind of depends on what specific services they're looking for. So everything is more custom to the client. But generally, we start with a 1 hour kickoff call with your designer. And that call will basically be to go over any specific details, project inspiration that you have, anything that you're super inspired by for your project. And that is meant to be a collaborative brainstorming session between myself, our designer, and then the client. We obviously are doing this for the client, not for us. Then we'll go through a research and design phase once that's all set. So once we know kind of what the client's looking for, what they like aesthetically, we'll go ahead and dive into what their product is. We'll research, current and past design trends within that kind of product space. We'll gather more information about the demographic of this product, who's actually purchasing this product as well. And after that research is complete, we'll create a comprehensive, what we call a discovery deck. So that discovery deck will have 2 different directions in it. So one direction will be in the direction that the client was envisioning. So we'll of course make sure that that still makes sense within whatever niche that they're doing, because if it's something that's totally off base, we're not going to give them something that's totally off base. So we'll ensure that those designs are unique and modern. And then we'll also provide this kind of second option to really push what the client was thinking about. And we'll basically base that off of the research that we did to show them an example of something we think could perform really well in that product space or in that niche. So once we present those to the client, we'll obviously get their feedback, and then we can start actually finally beginning to design. And the reason why we do that whole process is obviously to ensure that whatever we're bringing to market for them or designing for them is going to be for sure up to their standards, but also something that would be unique in the current industry that they're in. So we also go through, depending on what package option you either choose or we custom create for you, there'll be a set number of revision sessions within that. So once we start doing the custom designs for the packaging or the website, whatever it may be, we'll then go through all of those revision sessions and just ensure that the client, is getting what they want. And then when we're all set, we'll package everything up and send that to, the production team if it's going to be for packaging, or send it to the development team for, development for a website, let's say, or just of course send it to the client so they can start using their new brand materials. So that's kind of how that works generally.
Great. And so what are some of the core values of your company? It seems like you guys have a mission, both personal and professional. So what are some of the core values?
Yeah, definitely. So I actually took a lot of inspiration from Google's core values. They actually call them 10 things we know to be true, which of course is brilliant. It's Google. So one of theirs is extremely important to me, which is it's best to do one thing really well. And so that's kind of how I've modeled Jade Stone. Each member of our team has one main role or function that they absolutely specialize in. So collectively, we provide obviously great branding and design, but it's made up of these smaller pieces that all fit together and complement each other really well. So of course, we have high standards for our design work, but we also really strive to be inclusive and welcoming space and like place to work as well. It's so important, obviously, to have different perspectives in a modern company, and there's no place at all for hate or prejudice at Jade Stone. We also strive to work with companies that operate in that same way and have those same core values on their own side as well. It just makes it for a great, working environment that way. And we're always trying to make cannabis accessible and welcoming and approachable through design. So being a fairly new user myself, like I had said, I really want to make it easy for others to explore cannabis with an open mind and enjoy the benefits too, while also getting, the level of education that they deserve. So those are some of our core values.
And so what is your favorite part of the job? I'm sure you wear many hats over the favorite hat.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really hard to pick one thing. I'm fully passionate about what I do. I love every minute of it, even the tedious, boring stuff that people are like, oh, you do taxes. Yes, I have to do spreadsheets. I have to do stuff like that. But one of my favorite parts of the job is collaborating with my team and learning with them and growing with them as well. So there are always new opportunities and challenges, of course, especially in cannabis, when we're working with clients. So it always inspires me to see how my team flourishes in those challenges, see how they solve their problems in their own ways, and then incorporate working with me and just working together and kind of learning and growing together. So I'm always so proud to have them at my side, and I just really enjoy watching them grow. Another favorite part of the job, of course, is seeing the clients light up. So when we present them, the work that we just did, there's something about watching the client's eyes just get super excited, and you can feel the passion even through a computer screen that just makes it so worthwhile. You can see that they're so excited to see this vision come to life, and that just keeps me going. So
That is a very rewarding feeling. I know
it
exactly.
really is. It really is. Yeah.
And so, like with that, let's talk about mentorship for a minute. I mean, this is a new
Yeah.
industry. A lot of people coming in, they're pursuing their passion projects. Do you mentor others specifically, or do you have a mentor yourself? You're kind of paying it forward with others. What's that look like?
Yeah, so I actually have three amazing mentors from that E4All program I had mentioned earlier. So at the time, I hadn't yet started the cannabis side of the business, so they're not particularly in cannabis themselves or have any, kind of relevance in that sense. But they have been influential in my business. They supported me right from the beginning, and it's been incredibly rewarding to have them also on my side for the stuff that I can't necessarily collaborate with my team on. I can't necessarily ask them how to make certain business decisions, and having them has been incredible. So I love them. They're the best. In terms of mentoring others, obviously running two businesses gets to be a lot for sure. But that's not to say that I wouldn't if given the opportunity. I think it's extremely important to give back your time and always be lifting each other up. So with the time that I have now, I'm always trying to assist with, other businesses. A good example of a way that I can sometimes mentor is if I have a potential client that can't necessarily afford our services, I'm not just going to not talk to them about what their potential business struggles are. I'll still give them advice absolutely on, which ways they can pivot or strategize, especially now in cannabis, now that I've learned obviously so much about that as well.
Yeah. So, what would you say to people who believe that they can do their own designs or branding for their business? Just kind of what you said, like maybe people don't have the budget yet, they try to bootstrap it. I mean, that
Mhm.
almost harm their brand by putting something out there before they're ready. So, what do you say to those people?
Yeah, so I get this question a lot, which makes so much sense. So I'll answer this one with an analogy. Would you trust an accountant to fly an airplane? Probably not, right? Or would you trust a pilot to do your taxes? Probably not. So I always say let professionals stay within their profession. And that goes for anybody. So anyone who can understand that concept is already light years ahead. So there's, of course, a common misconception, is particularly in design, that what designers do is easy. So through the creation and launch of Canva and other user-friendly free graphic design tools, people think they can do it themselves. But the real reason why it appears that this is so easy is because of the years of training, learning, failing, getting better. And perfecting their process for years to make it look effortless. So it can definitely be tempting, and I totally understand the mindset of I just want to get something out there as cheap as possible. But in reality, it's really important at the beginning to make those decisions longer term. A lot of the time, I think those decisions are made short term, but in terms of thinking long term, how you're going to grow over time, those decisions need to be made right from the beginning. So if you get your brand foundation wrong at first, it can cost a lot of money and time to fix it later on. And I promise you, you won't have the time or money to be doing that twice. So our goal for our clients and their customers is to enjoy their branding for many years. It really is an investment, but it's worth it long term for sure.
And so, what advice would you give a business owner that's looking to branch into the cannabis industry?
Yeah, definitely. So of course, related to the previous question, I'd highly recommend getting a brand foundation set up. That's extremely important. And looking long term and making sure you have that strategy in place. So this will be extremely essential from now until federalization, federal legalization and beyond. The second piece of advice is, just to make sure you know who your customer is inside and out. If I could get paid every time somebody said my customer is anyone 21 to 100, that's just not the answer. If you think that your target customer is anyone, you're going to face major challenges with your business. And the competition in this industry is not going away anytime soon. So you really need to make sure that you're narrowing down your product lines, or your services, if that's what you're getting into, and strategically position yourself to dominate a niche market. That is just how any business will truly succeed. So that's probably the main advice I'd give anyone looking to start their business.
Okay, very good. And so, what are your thoughts on the future of the cannabis industry or the hemp side of the industry?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of different, obviously, sides to that. So long term, I think, federal legalization is going to happen at some point. There is just no way that it won't be able to happen, but people need to be prepared for that. So at this point right now, people are rushing to market. They want to get something out there. They really want to just get their brand going, make a bunch of money right now. The reality is they need to set up the proper steps and take the proper steps to ensure that their foundation is going to last. The ones that take their time now and slowly work their way into it are going to be the ones winning when that federal legalization opens up. So I think that long term, obviously, federal legalization will happen. But in the meantime, I think that the businesses that rushed into it will probably end up being weeded out and fail before they have a chance to actually win. So I think that's what's going on right now.
So it's good to work with a professional group from the get-go. So
Definitely.
get out the gate strong. So
Absolutely.
for people that want to work with you, what's the path? How can they work with you? If you want to share your email or your contact, your website, anything.
Yeah, absolutely. So they can go ahead and book a call on our website, which is jadestonebranding.com. Or they could, reach out, email if they want to do it that way at contact@jadestonebranding.com. And we'll get you set up with our design calendar and make sure that you have, we have a time to talk about your project, and then we'll create a custom estimate for you. So